Revolutions. Introduction. Revolutions are an integral part of human existence, whether in terms of the cyclic or circular motions governing nature or in terms of actions taken by man for the metamorphosis of society and self. Revolutions in nature constitute an integral and very important part of a complete life cycle. Earth's simple revolution around the sun triggers the 4 seasons. Linked with the seasons is the production of cereals, flowers, and fruits, without which there can be no life on Earth. It also triggers the sexual cycles of birds and animals as well as biorhythms and basic nocturnal or diurnal behavior. Nature's revolutions are also known to influence the human matrix of calm, love and lust, crowd, anger and frustration and depression, lob, greed, moh, attachment, mad, power, and masher, mix of power and ego. Human revolutions are concerted and orchestrated movement. We know that for a vehicle to move, the wheels have to move, and to make the wheels move, the spokes that are independent and unattached have to move constantly about a central hub. Similarly, there is a base thought around which all activities and motions of a human revolution revolve. For example, the thought of removing the feudal system led to the French Revolution. The thought of removing the complacent monarchs led to the Chinese Revolution. Or the thought of removing the British from India led to the independence struggle.
Revolution's causes. When a cause disturbs his habitat, man wants to turn around, or rehabitat to the original state. The process of going back to the original is called revolution. Every revolution starts with a disturbance or displeasure, wherein the happy state of existence of an individual or society is stressed beyond a bearable level. The very word revolution is derived from revolve, which means to turn around. Rehabilitation, or re plus habilitat plus ion, in essence is re plus habitat plus ion and is a better word for this process. In a larger spiritual or philosophical sense, rehabilitation means the inherent need of man to go back to his primal source. Hence, in a way, the process of revolution and rehabilitation become synonymous. The disturbances affecting mankind can be categorized into 3 dimensions, namely physical, psychological and social. In the context of revolutions, physical disturbances could include changes in policies, for example, apartheid or taxation, such as British India, in colonial America, and nobility in France. Psychological disturbances are the feeling of rage and hate in response to discriminating policies, and social disturbance might be in the form of restrictions in movement or habitation or towards formation of groups in social places. Many a times one disturbance is sufficient to disturb the society in all 3 dimensions. For example, the salt tax levied by the British in India needed physical financial resources to comply and hence disturbed the basic framework of thought leading each and everyone offended in the most fundamental manner. How can someone put tax on something so basic, and became a social protest? Since all 3 dimensions of man are affected by the disturbing factor, she or he is left with no other dimension to approach for comfort. The deep sense of insecurity rocks the very foundation of logic and belief, in which human rationale takes root. A revolution then ensues, wherein different groups of people work with one thought, towards the goal to remove the factors causing the disturbance. Revolution dimensions and dynamics. revolutions stretch the social fabric to its limit, in terms of human and financial resources, and leads to massive damages in social and economic infrastructure. The Tennis Court Act in the French Revolution committed all the people involved to not rest till a constitution was formed. The Chinese Revolution saw Sun Yat-sen bring together people within China and the Chinese diaspora in Japan and United States. The Indian freedom movement involved an array of planned attacks and civil disobediences across the country, highlighted by the Salt March and the Quit India movement, and the resistance to apartheid by Nelson Mandela involved a guerrilla warfare team in the event that protests fail. Once the primary disturbance is removed, unforeseen interests of the various factions that brought about the revolution come into play, and can lead to dire consequences, for example separation of Pakistan, installation of a military leader in the Chinese Revolution, dictatorships in Mexico and France. Additionally, the emotions of the masses are unpredictable and uncontrollable. History is witness to the fact that though the immediate result of the revolution is achieved, the overall effect of the revolution on its universe is far from positive. Social and economic gaps are known to have widened in the post-revolution phase, resulting in widespread dissatisfaction amongst people. Hence, the post-revolution phase is a time of great emotional and physical turmoil.
American Revolution was followed 100 years later by the American Civil War, and then another 100 years later by the Civil Rights Movement. Chinese Revolution was followed by the Cultural Revolution. Many believe that the Mexican Revolution still continues in essence. The Russian Revolution was followed by perestroika. India is still fighting its post-independence issues of Kashmir, casteism, and reservation. Why does this happen? The simple reason is that planning in the pre-revolution phase addresses only the physical dimension of the disturbing factor, and there is a complete lack of understanding of the effects of the revolution on the social and psychological needs of the people. This lack of three-dimensional planning nullifies the positive effects of the revolution and breeds negativity in the post-revolution society. Prior to independence, India's goal was to achieve independence from the British, but did not plan for what could happen post-independence. As independence approached, opinion got divided, leading to the country getting divided, something no one had thought of. The anti-apartheid movement led to South African independence and release of Nelson Mandela from 27 years in prison, with little or no change in the segregation and repression of the people post-independence. Even today, the needs of the people, which were the cause of the anti-apartheid movement, are not met. These include land ownership, physical discrimination and exclusion from jobs, psychological and segregation, social. Revolutions are important and sometimes necessary to bring about social change, but only if planned in a broader spectrum, with a complete understanding of the pros and cons of the revolution phase and the post-revolution phase. Hence, pre-revolution planning is extremely important in order to ensure positive results in the post-revolution phase in its totality. The planning should take into account the physical, psychological, and social needs of each and every individual who is a part of the universe of the revolution, and should be able to naturally and successfully lead to effective post-revolution rehabilitation, for the revolution to become complete, or ultimate revolution. When this happens, every individual is able to maintain a holistic situation, which will lead to a harmonious and progressive future. This is the stage of ultimate rehabilitation, and once achieved it will leave no scope or need for another revolution to happen.
Revolution individuals. The concept of revolution can also be applied to an individual in the modern world. Our habitat is always in a state of flux and is vulnerable. Disease, disability, death in the family affect us physically. Broken relationships, divorce, discrimination, abuse, etc. affect us psychologically. And lack of resources and finances affect us socially. There's not an individual who is not affected and disturbed by one or more of these factors. There is so much struggle that an individual has to go through in the present-day society that every individual is a revolution waiting to happen. Suicides, crimes, rage are all forms of misguided or unguided and unplanned individual revolution. Just as any revolution is born out of extreme discontentment and anger, an individual's revolution is also born out of frustration and anger. However, just as a large-scale revolution can end up with negative results if not planned with a complete vision, an individual's revolution can also breed negativity in society if not addressed timely and in totality. An individual's anger can be converted into positive energy, if his or her physical, psychological, and social rehabilitation is ensured just as the revolution is being born. This ultimate rehabilitation, if planned, will not only help the individual but also the society as a whole. Ultimate rehabilitation is possible at two levels within the individual and within the society. If the individual is able to recognize the revolution within him and rehabilitate himself with his own efforts, by bringing about changes within himself and making adjustments to the self, he would then have overcome the physical, psychological, and our social disturbance and brought about a spiritual evolution. Every individual on this earth is afflicted with problems. The successful ones are those who plan to overcome them systematically. Planning for the post-rehabilitative phase and all the three dimensions of rehabilitation gives the required relief, in one stroke, without the need to go for additional rehabilitation. However, when an individual is unable to apply the rehabilitative measures to the revolution, which is born within himself, external help is required. It is the responsibility of the community and society to recognize this revolution and help the individual by giving him the ultimate rehabilitation, physical, psychological, and social. Only this will ensure a harmonious and peaceful existence for an individual and the society. Ignoring this responsibility will breed never-ending negativity within an individual, leading to social chaos. Think about this: nature's revolutions are well planned and always bring about positive energy. Similarly, human revolutions, individual or social, if properly planned, can be immensely positive for the individual and society. If not planned properly, with the past, present and future in mind, revolutions can develop complexities within the individual and can have unthinkable negative repercussions, leading to a chaotic society. Hence, revolutions at the individual or social level need to be addressed with post-revolution rehabilitative steps within the physical, psychological and social dimensions, leading to spiritual rehabilitation. This will be the ultimate social change.